Testing. Testing. All right. I I'm not a fan of I love to do my own research, but I'm not like keen on being one of those YouTubers that like, you know, oh guys, this stock, this material, this Bitcoin, this blah blah blah, this crypto. I'm not a fan of having to be the mouthpiece for any particular thing. What I do like is to analyze information, kind of like detective work, connect the dots where necessarily they aren't connected. And again, I'm not gonna do a lot of these videos. I mean, maybe if you guys want me to, leave a like, subscribe, follow. But this is important. This is chaos. So, what's going on? Everyone that I know has been surprised at what silver has been doing. Silver has just kind of been the little brother of gold. It's been that particular um exchange value, right? A little bit of silver, not too crazy expensive, but still worth something. Like you're not gonna be exchanging money with gold because 1 ounce of gold is a huge difference than 1 ounce of silver. However, while silver is that sort of exchange of value, here's some silver coins, give me some eggs and cows or whatever. We're talking medieval times, right? We're seeing gold as this actual like store of value. You, like a pirate, you dig that sucker underground and you know where it is, and then go back to it when time comes to liquefy, aka turn it into something of an exchange, buy something like a house, a castle, whatever you would in the day use gold for. I use these sort of metaphors because today not a lot of people see gold and silver as anything other than this form of exchange. But the thing is, it is the most prominent material in our technology. Now, one can argue Fort Knox, where we keep the US gold. One may argue that there's no gold in there, or it's been gone for a long time. That's why we haven't seen or verified the stuff inside of our, locked areas, vaults, right? But we don't quite acknowledge just how much of a useful material both silver and gold is. And this comes to the boom of AI data centers. It comes to the boom of countless battery usages, circuitry, RAM cards, which we will go over because the crazy boom in AI might be stressing the supply available of these very valuable materials. There's a limited supply. That's why gold and silver have a value because it cannot be created. It is extracted from the ground, and the supply demand tango deducts the price. Now, when we only have so much supply and the demand 500, 5,000% increases since 2000, which was a mark of value, a 5,000% increase based on the 2000 valuation of, I think it was $15, somewhere around there. We start to see a little bit of a squeeze, not enough silver to compensate the valuations that are necessary to, oh, provide people with the material that they bought, aka reserved, aka pulled in a vault. There's just not enough silver to go around, or gold for that matter. The reasoning for this might be very directly tied to what's been going around with Micron. Micron exits from crucial consumer business. What is Micron? Why does it matter? Well, they're a very large consumer-based hardware, PC hardware, SSD drives as of late, more of the volatile memory space, but then they progressed into solid state drives. So they do have a huge market in RAM cards, DDR4, DDR5, and all the case scenarios for computers that need some memory to actively run more and more programs. What is RAM? Basically, think of it as like the space on your desk. The more RAM you have, the bigger your desk size. So more Chrome windows can open, more documents can be opened, and your computer will be able to handle multitasking better. Another usage for RAM is, of course, managing, loading, and if the speed of the RAM is exemplary words, exceptional, really good, the model, the actual artificial intelligence model is loaded into RAM as a form of host. So now your graphics card has a, volatile, it has volatile memory as well, video graphics RAM, but you can also use your RAM cards with the proficiency of the speed. It'll slow down your model a bit, but not that much, a good amount though, especially for larger models, depending on how much to the graphics card and to the actual onboard RAM. Regardless, the usage here is extreme. Because now we have data centers all over the place. We've got tons and tons and tons of power guzzling data centers being just sprung up all over the country, all over the world, all in the moment to host these AI systems that will save the future based on what the CEOs of these companies say. Let's not, you know, think about all the errors that AI does, all the hallucinations that they make, and the psychological setbacks that a lot of people are falling into with an odd type of AI psychosis where the AI is the feedback loop promoting negative personal traits. The AI itself, though, of course, will be the one and the thing that will set us to the future. It will cure cancer. It will take us to Mars, as per the CEOs that make money from you using that AI. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm an enthusiast. I love playing with AI on a local machine with not heavy power or hardware. Anyone can do it. You can check any of my videos that I speak and show you how to set up your own local AI without having to be subscribed to any company, without having to pay. All you need is essentially a graphics card. If you're a gamer, basically you're set. If you play games, AAA titles especially, because they are graphic hungry, you're set. Problem is, that's not what they want. They want us to be subscribed. So Micron exits from crucial consumer business. What does that mean? They're not selling their hardware to users anymore. In fact, it's gotten so bad that there is a RAM prices evaluation. There's a chart that literally is watching the prices of RAM. What used to be something for 40 is now up to 120. It's more than tripled in valuation. Let's go to our DDR5s, 2 for 32, which is a very common, nice long-term value you want for your RAM. And for the longest period of time, it was just about above 200. Now, that price has skyrocketed to 800. I'll let that sink in right now. From this year, mid mid-year. Let's call it mid-year because that's where it popped up a little bit, but not even then, really from 3 months ago. RAM has blown up in price almost 400%, if not more. Eh, error percent, 20%. Whatever the case is, it's 4 times the price. This is how much it costs to buy these RAM cards now. DDR5s, same thing, 200 to 700. DDR5, 6000 to 16 gigabytes, about 100 to 5 or 450. And this is where there's a certain type of suspicion that's happening because no one's going to tell us the actual things happening in the world. This is why conspiracies exist because no one speaks the truth on the mainstream media, on the news agencies. I mean, look what gold is doing. Gold has been going up chaotically. Chaotically. For the last 6 months, it's gone up 1,000K. You know who's not speaking about it? The man who has a golden toilet. You know who that is? I think you do. It's that guy in the office. His hair might as well be a off gold color, wearing out from age. But even he himself has not mentioned it, and there is a reason. There is a reason. There is no word about why gold and silver are blowing up. Because in the market, gold and silver act as a hedge, as a safety measure against the dollar fiat currency. Some of you may know what crypto is about. Very similar situation, though crypto, it's a cryptographical system. It relies on proof of work, and it's not a physical, holdable asset. What it is, however, is the purpose of it is to counter any issues that may happen with inflation when the fiat currency gets printed into existence through counterfeit, through more dollars in the actual system than there were in the previous years. And the best place to take your eye on that counterfeiting print is going to be from the Federal Reserve. Now, it is counterfeit when a regular person does a print job on a particular piece of dollar bill or $100 bill and enters it into the circulating system by buying something. But it's not counterfeit when billions and trillions of dollars are printed into existence by official means, aka the central bank. Problem here is no matter who prints the money, there's more of it. And when there's more of it, think about it. Do you play Pokemon? Have you played anything or really collected anything? The more of that thing that you like, the less it's going to be worth. That Pikachu basic non holographic card probably doesn't cost that much. But that Mewtwo, one type or one in existence, that rarity of a card that may not necessarily be available, that sucker costs money for a piece of paper because of its rarity. This is how supply and demand works on its basic principle. The more of something there is, well, the less demand is necessary to appease those that need it. So when there's less demand, the supply tries to catch up and become cheaper to sell itself, to distribute itself to the public. Thus, money works in a similar fashion, but it is the judgment call of valuation of how much a dollar is worth versus how much currently exists in the market in circulation. Oh, it's a tough subject. It really is. On the cases of how inflation actually works, I won't get into the nitty-gritty details. If you do want to hear more about inflation and how it works, feel free to like and subscribe and leave your comments down below. Now, for the main case here is really silver. Gold has been quite the chaos. Just within the last 6 months, it's climbed pretty crazy. I'd say about, let's check it out because I can't do this math. I want to say about 25%. So we've got a current valuation of 4,400. Let's round by, let's call it at the peak of 3,400. 29%. So gold has gone up by 29% in the last 6 months. But you know what's even weirder? What's even a little bit more frightening? Not gold, rather silver. Silver, within the last, let's call it 3 months, has been skyrocketing. Let's even call it year. What's the minimum it's been in the last year? $30. And this was in April 8th on Tuesday, around that area. But it's been hovering around this valuation. In fact, I remember a specific someone sold or let their firm sold his silver for him at a measly $23 2 or 3 years ago. When you depend on others to take care of your money without them knowing what they are doing, be careful because their decisions can really burn you. He should have kept that money. He should have kept that silver. But his firm, his management decided to sell at 23. While now we're looking at near 80, well, we are literally 40 cents away from $80. So what has happened with silver? Now the biggest issue here is that Gold and silver are used in different ways throughout technology. The biggest consideration is that silver is really related to plating, silver zinc cell plate packs, and all kinds of silver internal battery energy conservation. If silver is reacted with or is exposed to oxygen or some forms of aerial it has to be in a vacuum, basically. There has to be no interruption from the area around. When you wear silver sometimes, or even the fake silver, it can kind of get a little dirty. You have to clean it up by putting it in baking soda. So there is a corrosive or there's a sort of type of issue with silver that will really be used as an internal chemical component. But gold, well, gold can be used as circuits, no problem. Normally used within the actual chips. They have high conductivity, very reliable, and can hold a lot of power. Now, we've had this slow burst of technology growing in the last couple of years due to AI. So, RAM, chips, graphics cards, all of these server AI hardware have potentially been pushing gold up within the last, let's call it 2 years, which it has 2000 to 4,500. It's doubled since this whole AI boom. Let's call it 5 years. Look, it wasn't until not too long ago when we really started to see AI become a big part of our society. It really wasn't. It might seem like a long time for some, but it's been at most 3 to 4 years, if barely 4 years, when it really began to show its face and nobody really took it seriously. With the Will Smith eating spaghetti horribly, and no one really took it to a serious degree until it began to be more realistic. So gold, I will say, since 2023 has been on a rip, insane rip, absolutely ridiculous rip, doubled. But that has been over that time period. The valuation of gold has only increased potentially, not because there's more people hoarding gold and worried, which some may be worried from the inflation that happened in the COVID crisis printout, doubling the circulation of money, guaranteeing that the dollar valuation will inflate at least 100% of its value is itself, so 200%, two times, if not more, since the 2008 crash that we're still feeling as time goes. With that process in mind, we're starting to see silver having its own chaotic run. Silver has only started doing this within, let's call it a 6 month period, where it was basing at 30. 6 months versus 5 years. Now, there is rumors that silver is highly manipulated throughout the world, if not throughout the hedge funds and their crazy tactics. If we look at a much larger picture, call it 20 years, we've been really basing on this space here. If we were to do a little technical on this, we will see that there was a very strong resistance level at 30. Did not break, but once it did, boy, did it break. We hovered around 2008 crash, went up, we went over up to the 50s and fell back down. Then we hovered underneath the space for a while, being denied multiple times until finally some news about silver shortages started to circulate, namely London. These material shortages are starting to really edge the price of silver because, again, the demand is becoming higher. People are indeed going currently to Costco's to try and buy silver and gold. They have been doing this for quite some time now. This was what, March 2025. They've been selling silver coins. Costco's bars surge as top seller amid 2025 price boom. So there's a lot of people going to Costco's, going to any place they can buy silver. and they are loading. This is the regular folk now. While the regular folk may not be playing the market, they are playing the physical material, taking it away from circulation, putting it in savings somewhere, potentially in a pirate chest underground, just like the old days. But whatever case scenario is, if gold is being taken, circulation is reduced in material resources, not only gold, but silver. Recently, though, it was the silver that showed this weakness. It showed there is a, well, shortage. So we go back to what we're seeing in these two materials. Unlike gold, which is primarily valued for its monetary investment property, silver derives about 60% of its demand from industrial applications. How long have we been making batteries? How long have we been taking material, wherever it is, and well, and transforming it into tech, smart TVs, smart fridges, SpaceX rockets, you name it, batteries, anything that has a battery. What in your house has a battery right now? And how many are there? Think about how much and how long we've been doing this, which requires a sense of silver usage. So silver is a precious metal and industrial commodity. Thus, circulation and resources available is causing a little bit of sensitivity to the price of how much is available. Now, why would then Micron decide to leave? Are they truly not satisfied with customer spending? So they're going to AI. This is their particular message. They're saying that, yeah, Micron will continue crucial products, shipments to the consumer channel until Q2 2026. They want to make a decision that they will exit the crypto business, the consumer business specifically. Could this be a case for, oh, you guys don't give us enough money, we're going to go towards the AI driven growth and then make a bunch of money there? Maybe. It could potentially be true. But under the great sensitivity of what normally happens when gold and silver blow the F up, no one's going to admit because everyone's investing in the market. The guy in Micron is investing in the market. Everyone and their grandmother and CEO, uh, basically any upper end business executives have their money invested somewhere. This is how they maintain value. So why would they even hint at a problem or a resource circulation problem and say, oh, we can't continue because we don't have enough silver? You know what that would do to the market? Chaos. Absolute chaos. So no, is this true? Is it true that there's not enough silver? I'm not too sure, but I connect the dots. This is the detective work I do on my side when I feel a little bit, well, cute, I suppose. When I feel like I have some idea of what's going on, and normally you follow the money. That is how this works. This whole, if you want to know the truth, follow the money. This is how it's working out to be. So there is a pretty decent relation between December 3rd. Oh, we're having issues with silver. Or, oh, we're not going to be in the consumer market. We're only going to focus on high growth, high money return AI servers. And then all of a sudden, well, in the last 7 days, last 30 days, it went from 56 and it's been going up ever since. We've seen it go from 30 to 60. Fair. A lot of people that have been predicting silver have been saying 60, 65 is the space that it's going to land. This is because inflation, because of its kind of suppressed form. A lot of shorts are clearing out currently. Anyone that's been shorting silver is now getting a little bit burnt, which could lead to a whole domino effect of other things to happen. So keep an eye on anyone that might be shorting silver because they're gonna have a bill to flip, and if they gotta cover their shorts, they're most likely going to be in a margin call, and I wouldn't want to know what else they're holding because all of it's going down, getting sold to cover. So 65 should have been around the maximum that silver should have based at, hit a roof, fell back down, hit a ceiling, right? Ceiling, come back down. We should have played around potentially around this space. 65 should have probably been denied here. And then we should have dropped back to the tops of the 55, hovering between 65 and 55 for a good another 2, 3, 4 years, potentially. Because we have now broken from this long-term valuation period of being denied 30. And for the fact that we just ended up above 50 from the previous heavy ceiling back in 2011 after the Great Recession, right? Well, that should have been about the space we want to base. Now, is it still going to keep going up? Hard to tell. Hard to tell. Very, very hard to tell. But I will say that there are a couple of indicators we can use to kind of guide our way within the next few weeks, as they will be super, super important. I'll show you those in a moment. My kind of assumption is it's overblown. Unless there are more shorts available that we'll have to cover, we could see 100. However, if they've covered, we could base around the 50 to 70 space. Now, if I was to talk about something related to this silver structure, how can I get an idea of how far it can go? The gold to silver ratio. Ratios, fractions are gonna be your best friends, guys. This is why math is important. If you need to learn how to read math, because it is a language. Math is a language, and if you can't read math, find me on Patreon. We will fix that. I will show you how to analyze information with mathematics, pure part of algebra, part of the meaning of what multiplication is, what division is, because people are using this all the time and they're winning while everyone else is, oh, math, and then watching TikTok all day. People gotta wake up. Y'all gotta get some math in your life if y'all even gonna survive. Because this is the Wild West now, and there's some chaos happening. So the biggest indication of where we currently are, this bottom location between the gold and silver ratio. I'm not going to go through the meaning of the gold and silver ratio, but you can probably look it online, right? You got AIs and Googles and you can read. So try it out. If you need personal help, find me on Patreon and I'll gladly tutor you. Be your mentor, be your tutor, be your educator. I'll be happy to do this. But here I'm only reporting on what I've discovered so far. We've seen this location get hit multiple times. Take a look. This equilibrium here at the 62 ratio evaluation, we can see it's been holding and been a very critical place around all of these locations. We break up above it, we have a good time, we break below it, we play around a lot, and eventually we stayed above for quite some time. But we did come from that location in the first place. Look at this. We've been here for a very long time. Can you see the years down there? From 37 up to 89. That's a 50-year silver to gold ratio evaluation, where silver is the higher valued asset based on its proportion, on the relationship between the proportion, the ratio. Now, we have brought ourselves back here multiple times during recessions, during any of these. Look at this, 2008, we had a crazy burst and boom, fell below around 2009 as the recovery began to potentially recover. But every time we have a chaotic time period of growth, gold has been happy. Some form of inflationary growth. We do have that percentage equilibrium 2% or so goal, but that 2% is going to prove to be a bit less feasible. in the future, especially with all the money printing that our governments are doing and the economic war that's happening between continents, especially that. Now, where is silver going to go? If silver continues basing down here, we're going to see a good time. There are two ways that silver is going to be here. Either silver will grow proportionally faster than gold, as it has already, or gold will weaken and silver will stand still. There's a lot of considerations with the ratio. It's not just one case scenario. But this situation is telling us that we could be where we are right now as a $70 valuation for silver, and we could stay here for another 10, 20 years. However, if both gold and silver continue to skyrocket and silver keeps going down into this space, we're going to see silver get to about $100 to $200. Now, the problem is anytime silver has a crazy run, it calms down, it retracts, it cools off. Everything does this. It's just the way of the world. Life is a roller coaster. There's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs. However, keeping track of this can give you some hints. Are we going to from here? It's a pretty flat body bar. Nothing happening here. The volume has weakened slightly in its movement. The bar is pretty heavy. So watching the bar and the volume can give you some foresight. First, the next bar, we're doing the weekly. So we're going to be watching this in the weekly, daily space. Let's go to daily. I think it'll let me. There we go. Yeah. No, go away. Go away. Go away. Hey, you don't like it, huh? You don't like it, huh? That's the one. Oh, but now it's not gonna. What? Something's in the way. Hold on, hold on. I need to get this crap cleaned up. You're not letting me home. Oh, it's annoying. Hold on, hold on. How far? Backdrop? Here's a little bit of fun for you. Anything that requires money, signing up, you can go around it. Takes a little bit of know-how. There we go. Ah, it still locks it? Okay, why are you locked? Unselectable. That's not fair. Give me my selection back. Well, let's do this. Reload and go back to business. Or just refresh, right? Okay. So looking back at this, sometimes it works. You can actually get some free articles online just by playing with some CSS, which is nice. Um, so again, we're looking at that bottom case here. And it's really, and look how flush this is. I'm pretty sure I'm off by a bit. Yeah, look how flush this is. If I zoom in here, realign this to the tippy tip of this little wick here, and I go back, let's see how that poses. It's pretty close. Even this bar here basically touches it almost, whatever the case is. So our next observations are what's silver gonna do from here? It is currently $80 for silver. I mean, it's 79.25. Are you counting? Are you rounding yet? 10% in a day. crazy. $7 in a day for silver. There's something breaking somewhere. Now, the case is manipulation always exists. So can we be sure that it's going to keep going up? No. Is it a time to buy? I would say if you wanted to, I would, but only like 5% of what I want to hold. Because there's a good chance we're going to bounce back down to 50. There's also a good chance we're going to go up more before we go down. It really depends on the chaos that we're about to experience in the start of 2026. How bad is the material silver squeeze and deficit? So, over the past 5 years, silver prices have evolved from relatively stable in the 20s to explosive highs in early 2021. Look, in like literally 2000, 5 years, $5, not that crazy, dipping to 18 by 2022. It's only been in the last 3 years that silver has been going crazy. Gold has done similar. There is a huge short, I believe, well, really it's the unwinding of the short. JP Morgan is holding about 40% of the silver futures markets and is closing out shorts, which means they have to buy back shares, which is also the case for the crazy volatility. You have to buy back something that is potentially gonna go against you and lose you money. You probably want to do it quick and early before the year ends. And this is also another case. We might still see more movement until the year ends. Why? Oh, nobody wants to put their taxes with current sales of large sums of money. They're going to leave it to next year. They're going to want to sell in 2026 so they can do the 2026 tax return. Do you know that? Do you think about these things? These are all factors that play into people's strategies in the market. And you should really consider thinking about that. So we could still see silver go up to 90, 100, but as soon as that next year turns on the 1st, I'm going to say that there's going to be a lot of selling for the new year. People gaining or taking their gains and then going to write them into their 2026 taxes. But there is a huge, huge situation happening with materials. Not only that, plutonium. Is it plutonium? No. Titanium? No. Oh, there's so many materials. Copper's at all-time high too, man. Everything is just going crazy. Everything's going crazy as far as materials go, and there's probably going to be some form of war, economic material war between China and US, which China has been attempting to bribe other countries with deals, materials for debt. You let me take some gold from your mines, we'll give you money for your country and government. That's what they do. This is what countries do for each other. Problem is, China's not very, well, caring. They're just gonna take and go. Russia was doing this too in Africa. Africa has been a huge place for the BRICS nations to scavenge a bit. Russia had this general that was attempting to essentially provide bodyguard services in exchange for mining locations. And China is doing the same, but financially, supporting financial governments in Africa while taking local minerals. This has been going on for 5+ years now. We're just starting to figure it out, or at least public is. Who knows how long this has been in the back end. That's it. That's all I'm here to say. There's something crazy going on. Can it keep going? Absolutely. One of the big things that I use to kind of judge, it's another ratio between using gold as a form to clear inflation. If you take a look at gold above, this is the gold anchor here, versus your typical fiat here, what you're going to see is that there's a lot of wiggle room for gold to catch up. Now, there's two cases. Either gold will drop in price and we will see this chart catch up to where our markets are, or the market is going to crash, going down, meeting where our gold is. Generally speaking, if we look at a long period timeline, this is where the balance is. So I can't say that gold is going to crash or go up. It could go up. It could crash. This is where that happened. This was in the 2000.com. So it could, but it's been stabilized. And because materials are so, well, rare now for technology demands, especially with the data centers, that's going to push a whole new set of restraints on the material commodities market. So I think it's a safe bet to own physical silver, physical gold, hold it long term, because I feel like we are about to go through some heavy turbulence in the fiat monetary system. Not only by the fact that we're trillions, let's see what the debt clock is. Trillions of debt. So much debt. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we're going to only double it in the next year. We're almost at 40 trillion, folks. $40 trillion of debt. Ain't that crazy? So hold on to something that's not money. Because China's letting go. China's taking US dollars and converting it to materials. Taking bonds, selling them for US dollars, and then taking those US dollars and buying gold. Everyone's throwing away the US dollar right now, and it's not looking good. And it's because the debt, because we as a country cannot figure out how to fix our debt because nobody wants to give away incentives. They want to give incentive to everyone, even non-US citizens. I personally have never taken, even in my most falling apart times of my life, I have never even taken so much as a food stamp because I felt like that itself would make me feel like crap. I would feel like I myself am not capable of handling my own life, that I have to depend on the government. I had friends that did it. They seemed fine with free money. I didn't. I took on more work. Never used any public subsidy. But because people can't lean off and actually be self-independent while they go on YouTube and TikTok and crave the attention of self-independence while they take a government check, it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. I really hope things don't turn for the worse, but the way our government's messed up, the way things are going, I've always considered that the way a country gets out of debt, like China did, like the Philippines did, is they go to a tota- totalitarian system, a dictatorship, and slavery in order to pay back debt. Where do you think your Nikes came from? Your iPhone. China had to go through about 20 years of actual, literal, near slave labor, people working with pennies on the dollar just to survive. And they worked in factories. They made your Gucci purses. They made all the luxuries of the Western civilization, and that civilization went into debt for those goods, paying 5 middlemen before they got their purse. And those 5 middlemen got rich. The workers didn't. And the consumers got into debt. And there it is, right here. This is our debt. And I don't like to think about it, but in the like in the historical sense of things, countries go into slave labor in order to pay back debt. The Philippines did the same before they were able to launch rockets into space. They had a similar structure where they had to work for nothing to export goods just to get their balance sheets of their country set. So be careful, stay strong, hold on to any assets you can, and well, Probably not going to do these very often, but if you do like these sort of overviews of my quote unquote detective work on the market, on finances, on materials, on what the hell is going on in the world economy, let me know. If not, it's cool. I like to drop in with some nuggets once in a while. But for sure, for whatever reason you decide, you need to know mathematics. So go to my Patreon, Super Scholar ChrisMIA. I can help you out. You can literally just look up ChrisMIA on Google, Patreon next to it, or just look up ChrisMIA Tutoring, chrismia.com. All case scenarios for you to find me. Set yourself up. If you're a student, perfect. If you're struggling, I will get you from a D to an A. I've done it so many times with a variety of students. I've been doing this for at least 20 years now. If you have the intention of improvement, self-development, and self-discipline, even better. Will make you a beast of the future. If you're struggling and you're not taking things seriously and you're kind of stuck in a TikTok loop and you're brain rotting, I can still help you. It just won't be as easy or fun. But if you're ready to dig yourself out of a hole, find me on chrismia.com, search me up on